Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today I'm talking about the, what is this thing called again? The Assault Carrier project, and as you can see, still not painted. But there's a reason for that, and the reason is that I actually have several things that I'm planning to do with this, and one of them is paint it, and in a way that's sort of the least challenging thing for me to do, and the thing I'm going to talk about today is lighting it. So my original plan was that this was going to have lights and sounds, and I was going to do a conversion. And then I started looking into it and realized that maybe that's biting off more than I can chew. So I dropped the sound element of it and have now decided that lights and conversion. And the conversion is 3D print, and we'll talk about that in a different video. But for now, let's talk a little bit about lighting. I should admit right up front that the primary reason for wanting to do it with this project is because I've never done it before. For most of my life, I've had a weird, irrational fear of electricity, which means that I've pretty much avoided anything electrical. And so I've never really learned anything until a few years back when I was building my shop. I actually managed to wire that entire shop with the help of a friend, but I really did the bulk of the work. He just showed me where I screwed everything up. Because I didn't know anything. I didn't know any better because I've been avoiding electricity my whole life. So with this project, my plan is engine lighting. So I've got 3 engine ports, and they're going to each get an LED. And then I decided I also wanted to experiment with some fiber optics along the edge here. And then I'd probably also do cockpit lighting. So what that really means is 3, 4, 5 LEDs, one to run the fiber optics, 3 for the engines, 1 for the cockpit. And that seemed pretty straightforward to me. And I think it probably is pretty straightforward. But here's the thing, when you're learning something new and you don't know anything, you don't know anything. Seriously, I feel like such a noob. I just did this. Let me show you. Okay, I did this. This is a breadboard. This is a thing you use to sort of design and check out and prototype basic circuits, or even not so basic circuits. I have 1 LED, I have 1 resistor, and I got all these wires to connect everything up to power. And so when I do this, so when you connect it up to power, you get light. So that would be a blue LED that I would probably be using for the engines. And just getting to this point, and this is really the electronics equivalent of Hello World for any of you programmers out there. This is about the most basic circuit you can make, aside from leaving out the resistor, which was a bad idea when I tried it because I ended up popping a couple of LEDs. But anyway, this shows me that I can create a functional light. Then I got to figure out how to create 4 functional lights, have enough power, and then figure out where to put the power in this thing. And here's my biggest problem with doing the lighting. Now that I've figured that part out, actually, let's go back to that, figuring that out. It's really not that hard, honestly. This is just the breadboard, some wires, a resistor, and an LED. And finding the instructions to do this, you can find this all over the place on the web. What is difficult in this is figuring out which resistor you might want to use, because it involves math, sort of. But I also discovered an app that kind of just tells you, you tell it, my battery has this much power, I'm using this LED, what resistor do I need? And then it tells you what you need, and then you look at your resistors and go, how do I know what resistor this is? And then it comes down to you. Then you go into the other part of the program that says, well, tell me which colored lines are on there, and I'll tell you how powerful a resistor that is. But even just doing that, when you know nothing, takes a little time to learn some of the info. Like I've had that program for at least a year, and I've never used it for anything, because the first time I opened it up, I went, I don't really understand any of this, so how am I supposed to even know how to use this? So you do have to do a little reading. But even beyond this, even knowing, like, I can probably figure out how to light up all my LEDs the way I want. Again, once you kind of know the absolute basics, it's not a difficult process. Well, then I got to figure out how to get it in here, right? So if I'm doing if I'm doing fiber optics, they are going to primarily be lighting this edge here and this edge in here. And I'm not talking about a lot, but it's going to be kind of a cool little, really just sort of neat, kind of little dazzly points. The fiber optics that I picked up are super fine. They're like hair thin. So when you see them lit, it is just the barest amount of light. It would almost be like if somebody was on this ship in scale, they would have a flashlight holding it up against, like a window or something. And I kind of like how that effect will end up looking. But I've got to be able to get power in, well, I have to be able to get the fiber optics into here. And here's my big problem. Well, and I'm going to need to be able to get power into here too for the LEDs that will be here. So I've got this little space, right? It's not a lot of space there. But you could find tiny batteries that will fit in there, like a little sort of watch style flat batteries. I even found a little receptacle that you can put those in, and then you can wire everything up to. Well, then you got a problem. Okay, so let's say I do that, and so let's go to the biggest problem. If I'm going to put fiber optics into here, this is sort of a double wall affair, right? Each side of this has a wall. So how do I get the fiber optics in there? Which is almost leaving me to believe that maybe I don't. Or alternatively, each of the walls with no detail get removed, which leaves only the walls with detail. And that way I don't have to worry about what happens when I open this up. Because right now, having those two walls in there creates a serious issue. But that would also mean that I can't really leave power in here, because this is going to need to be sealed, like permanently sealed. And that's okay. We can run power lines up through here, and even the fiber optics up into here. But that also means now that I'd have to put power and the LED to run the fiber optics into this area. Right, this comes apart like that. And there's another issue. It's not, and this isn't a big issue at all, but that's all the space I have in there to get an LED up in there and light this. And I'm going to have to chop all that out and put in new sort of window supports. Yeah, that's not really a problem. Because again, power line can run through there. And even through that, however this goes, there it is. Yeah, it could run up through this hole, up through here. And then, yeah, and then, well, actually I could even just cut a channel out of this. And again, all the working bits go in here. But my issue then is power, right? I had originally got these sort of as a test, but I also thought that I might use them for this purpose, except that, as you can see, they don't really work. So that means one of two things. That means either cutting out these two supports, which isn't ideal because they sort of line up the whole body, or find smaller batteries. Smaller batteries is probably the way to go. Difficulty there, and this is again because I don't know anything, is I can fit all kinds of those tiny batteries in there, but how long do they last? I have no idea. That would be something that I would have to test, which leads to another issue. Okay, if we use regular batteries, in order to change them, we now need to be able to leave this so that it can be opened. It's not really a bad issue. This seems to hold together really well. You know, it seals pretty nice. So maybe that's not that big an issue. If I could choose how to do this, what I would love to have is rechargeable batteries in here with the ability to charge them from outside, you know, something you would plug in, say like like the way you charge your cell phone with a little sort of mini USB. And if you hear crunching in the background now, it's just my dog Honey. She's working on her hoof, I think it is. Anyway, so those are the things I'm dealing with right now, and this is why not much has really progressed here. But as I'm talking about this with you, I'm sort of sorting through some of these issues in my mind. But what I would like from you is somebody who knows this stuff. If you know this stuff really well, then either leave a comment or send me a message or something, because there's just basic information I just don't have. Like I said, I can throw in all kinds of little batteries in there, but if they're only going to last an hour, then that doesn't seem ideal. But if they'll last, it seems to me like they would last a really long time. I know, you know, a long time ago I had one of those little 1 LED flashlights, and that seemed like that lasted forever. And so this isn't that much different, except that it's got a light 4 LEDs. The fiber optic stuff I think I can figure out. It's not that big a deal. Something you should know about fiber optics. So I bought this. This is from Plastruct. And you won't even be able to see it, I don't think. But there is a strand of, this is 0.010 fiber optic. And it has 10 of these in a little bundle. And last night I wanted to play with one. And one of the things I'd read when I bought this stuff was that somebody said, well, I opened it up and there were no instructions on how to use it, and I immediately tangled it all up. And I thought, what an idiot. You know, like who is going to tangle this stuff up immediately after opening it? This guy. So I thought, well, I can just pull one line free and that's not going to be a problem. Yeah, I immediately created a bird's nest of fiber optic line here. So that probably took me an hour and a half to sort out. The nice thing is, like, the little bit that comes in this package is more than enough to do this project because I don't need to go very far. And each one of the strands is, I don't know if it says, but it seemed to me that they were like 8 feet long. So there's 10 pieces, 8 feet long, and I only need to be able to travel, I don't know, what would you say, 6 inches at best? So clearly there's enough in there to do this. So that's my warning to you, is if you get excited and want to try this yourself, be very careful about how you unwind these things. Have a place to put them too, because they're fairly long and you will tangle them up. It's just going to happen. So that's where we are on that side of things, which is to say, not a lot of progress, but some progress has been made. I've actually made a little bit more progress on the conversion side, and again, like I said, I'll talk about that in another video. But that's going to be it for now. So hopefully, I mean, this is really just an update, and I'm hoping to get some information from one of you about power requirements of LEDs and maybe how much time I can expect to get from various types of batteries. Maybe you have a good suggestion on what type of battery I might put in here. I would also like to know if you have any thoughts on my pie in the sky rechargeable battery, but this whole thing stays sealed idea. I won't get my hopes up. You know, at the end of the day, if this just ends up being all lit by batteries that you have to replace by taking the thing apart, that's still okay. I think the only part about this I worry about is this little flat panel here. Can you see that? This one? And what I might end up doing is removing it and just gluing it down and then making this whole separate piece. I don't know. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for this update, and that's going to do it for now. So again, if you like the videos, like this video. If you want to make sure you see the rest of this series as it comes together, then you might want to subscribe. That's all I'm saying. And that's going to do it for now, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.